There was a time when I believed that strength was measured by how loud you could shout, how hard you could hit, or how much chaos you could unleash. I thought that if I made enough noise, people would finally see me, understand me, respect me. But I learned something along the way, a truth that reshaped everything I thought I knew. The loudest power isn't in the roar, it's in the silence. They expected you to break, didn't they? They poked, they prodded, they pushed every button they could find. They wanted you to snap, to lose control, to give them the satisfaction of seeing you crumble under the weight of their cruelty. Because they know how to handle that. Anger? That's easy. It's loud, it's visible, it's tangible. They can point to it and say, "See? That's the problem right there." But silence? Silence is an entirely different beast. When you stay silent, you rob them of the narrative. They can't twist your words or weaponize your reactions. Your stillness is unnerving. It's like staring into an endless void, waiting for something, anything, to happen. But nothing does. And that scares them more than any outburst ever could. Because in your silence they see their reflection. Every cruel word, every betrayal, every time they tried to tear you down. It's all there, staring back at them, undeniable and unrelenting. They thought they knew you. They thought they could predict you, control you. But now, you're an enigma. They don't understand the cold, steady gaze that meets their chaos. They don't know what's lurking behind your quiet demeanor, and that's what keeps them up at night. They're replaying every word they've ever said to you, dissecting every interaction, wondering where it all went wrong. And the truth is, it went wrong the moment they underestimated you. You see, people thrive on control. They live for the push and pull, the back and forth that keeps them feeling like they're on top. They wanted your anger because it's predictable. It's something they can handle, something they can manipulate. But when you refused to give it to them, when you chose silence instead, you flipped the script. You took the power out of their hands and put it back where it belongs, with you. Silence isn't emptiness. It's not weakness. It's a weapon, sharp and precise. It's the quiet before the storm, the tension that makes every moment heavier than the last. It forces them to confront themselves, to sit with their guilt and their mistakes, without the distraction of your outrage. And oh, how they hate it, because silence leaves no room for excuses, no place to hide from the truth. They're terrified of what you'll do next, and that's the beauty of it. Your silence has become their torment. It's the reminder that they no longer hold sway over you. They wanted to see you crumble, but instead they're watching you rise, stronger, colder, unshakable. And here's the thing they'll never admit. They fear you now. Not because of what you might say or do, but because of what you've already become. You've turned their betrayals into armor, their cruelty into strength. You've taken every insult, every slight, every dagger they threw at your back, and you forged it into something they can't comprehend. They wanted to make you small. But now, you're towering over them, not with noise, but with presence. Your silence speaks volumes. It's a testament to your resilience, your control, your power. And when the time comes, because it will come, when you decide to break that silence, it won't be with anger or chaos. It'll be with precision. A single word, a single action that will echo louder than any scream ever could. They'll never see it coming, because they've been too busy underestimating you, too caught up in their own games to realize that you've already won. You've shown them that true power isn't in the noise. It's in the quiet conviction of someone who's been through hell and come out the other side unbroken. So let them wonder. Let them second guess. Let them drown in the silence you've left behind. It's not your job to explain yourself, to justify your strength, or to validate their insecurities. You owe them nothing. Remember this: silence is not the absence of power. It is the manifestation of it. It's the unshakable calm of someone who knows their worth, who knows their strength, and who knows that they don't need to prove a damn thing to anyone. And when they're lying awake at night, haunted by the echoes of your silence, let it remind them of one simple truth. They thought they could break you, but all they did was teach you how to rebuild, stronger, wiser, unstoppable. You know, there's a peculiar kind of power in walking away. It's not the power of anger or revenge. It's something quieter, something they'll never understand. It's like turning off the lights in a room where they thought they could see everything. Now they're stumbling, grasping for the control they once had. But it's gone. You took it with you when you left. They expected the fire, the screaming, the chaos. They wanted you to break, to shatter into pieces they could pick up and rearrange to suit their narrative. But instead you gave them nothing, just the quiet, steady sound of your footsteps walking away. And that silence, it's louder than any words you could have said. It's the echo of every tear you didn't cry in front of them, every argument you chose not to have. They can't stand it, can they? The space you left behind feels like a void they can't fill, no matter how much noise they make. Now they're lost in their own storm, the same storm they tried to throw you into. They're trying to figure out how you did it, how you walked away and left them drowning in their own chaos. But that's the thing, isn't it? They can't figure it out, because they'll never understand the strength it takes to let go. You've become a riddle they can't solve, a shadow they can't shake. They thought they knew you, thought they could predict your every move. But you rewrote the script. You stopped playing the role they cast you in, and that terrifies them. They're replaying every word, every moment, searching for a sign of where they went wrong. But it's not about them anymore. It never was. It's about you, finding the strength to stand tall in the face of everything they tried to break you with. You didn't fight their battle. You didn't stoop to their level. You rose above it. And now, every time they hear silence, they'll think of you. Every time they close their eyes, they'll feel the weight of what they lost. Because you're not just a memory to them now. You're a reminder, a mirror reflecting their own emptiness, their own failures. They thought they could control you. But in the end, they only exposed how little control they had over themselves. So let them sit in that silence. Let it grow and echo and consume them. Because that silence, it's not just an absence of sound. It's the sound of your victory. Let me tell you something they'll never admit. They didn't expect this version of you. They'll never say it out loud, but they're afraid, not of your words or your actions, but of what you've become. You've slipped through their grasp, outgrown their control, and now they're left scrambling to understand the person standing before them. They won't admit it. They'll mask their fear with fake smiles, polite nods, and hollow conversations. But deep down, they're terrified because they know. They know they can't manipulate you anymore. They can't twist your words into traps or bait you into reactions. The buttons they used to push, they don't work anymore. You've built walls they can't climb, barriers they can't breach, and a presence they can't ignore. And here's the irony. They did this to themselves. They thought they were clever, didn't they? Playing games, setting traps, feeding off your vulnerability. They thought they could walk all over you, but now they're the ones stumbling, tripping over the cracks they created in their own lives. They played with fire, and now they're the ones getting burned. They expected you to fight back, to scream, to rage. That's what they wanted, your tears, your anger. They wanted to feed off it. But instead you gave them something they never saw coming: silence. A silence so deafening it drowns out every lie, every insult, every attempt to provoke you. Your silence, it's not just the absence of words, it's a weapon. A mirror that forces them to see the truth they've been running from. It's the calm before the storm they can't predict. And that calm, it terrifies them more than any storm ever could. They thought they had you figured out. Thought you were an open book, easy to read, easy to manipulate. They convinced themselves they knew your every move, every thought, every emotion. And why wouldn't they? You gave them everything. You were honest. You let them see your struggles, your pain. You showed them the parts of you that most people hide. And that's where they made their mistake. They took your honesty as weakness. They saw your openness as something to exploit. They thought they could control you, mold you, break you. But then one day, you stopped. You stopped talking, stopped explaining, stopped giving them the pieces of yourself they didn't deserve. Now they're left staring at a closed book, trying to guess the story they'll never finish. It eats away at them. The not knowing, the wondering. The silence you gave them, it's poetic justice. For the first time, they're the ones left in the dark, piecing together fragments of a puzzle that no longer exists. Now they wake up at night, haunted by it, haunted by the void they can't fill, the questions they can't answer, the power they can't take back. They're desperate, searching for cracks in your armor, hoping to find a way back in. But all they find is more silence. And isn't it beautiful? Watching them unravel, watching them squirm. All because you chose to say nothing. You've become their biggest fear. Not because you're dangerous, but because you're unknown. You're the silence they can't break, the mystery they can't solve. And that silence, it's a choice, a decision to protect your peace, your energy, your soul. You've mastered the art of restraint. You've learned to stand tall, even when every part of you wanted to scream, to lash out, to fight. And that's what they never understood. True power isn't in the chaos, it's in the calm. It's in the silence that says, I don't need your validation, I've outgrown you. They thought they could break you, that you'd crumble without them. But instead you rebuilt yourself into someone they can't touch, can't manipulate, can't destroy. Now they're left standing in the ruins of their own making, wondering how it all went so wrong. They prepared for your anger. They braced for your fury. But your silence? That's what terrifies them. Because silence isn't just an ending. It's a new beginning. A blank page they'll never get to write on. It's the sound of your victory, echoing louder than any scream ever could. And that, my friend, is the power they'll never understand. Let me leave you with this thought. Silence is not just the absence of sound. It's the loudest declaration of freedom. It's a quiet revolution, one that doesn't need an audience or applause. Your silence speaks volumes to those who underestimated you, those who mistook your kindness for weakness, and those who thought they could manipulate your story to fit their narrative. But look at you now. You're no longer the person they thought they knew. You've evolved, you've risen, and they can't stand it. The beauty of this transformation isn't just in the strength you've gained, but in the chaos you've left behind. They're scrambling to figure you out, desperate to regain the control they never truly had. And they hate it. They hate that they can no longer read you, predict you, or provoke you. They hate that their power over you has crumbled, leaving nothing but dust in its place. Every moment of silence you give them is a reminder of what they've lost, a connection they took for granted, a presence they underestimated, a person they can no longer control.